Hello everybody and welcome back to my humble painting stream. How is everyone doing? How are you all feeling today? Anything of new? Anything of old? Anything at all? What's up guys? So we are finally at the final stretch for the first wave of Goliaths, and we are doing the leader. I've taken the liberty to call him, what was it? Big Mohawk. And guess who forgot to switch the focus again? Yup, that is me. Right, but before that... So, a few words. There will be quite a few talking points today, but I will wait until a few more people show up before I get on those. Pretty cool stuff, at least for me, pretty exciting. Hey there, Agent Orange. How's it going? Final dude of Wave 1. We're almost there. So, well, you know. What was that about the post that you shared? Couldn't quite get the idea if it's just something random or if something happened. Camera keeps moving. To where? The one that you sent on Messenger. Yeah, moving in terms of focus. Yeah, I'm gonna fix that right away. Just feels right. What? Really? Let me see the how it looks. Because I moved it a little bit. Oh, okay. I don't know. Maybe. Not really sure. I brought my chair down a little bit, and so I had to offset the difference with the camera. But yeah. Yeah, I think. No, not the story. You just shared your post. Let's see if that's yours. No. Oh, I see, I see, I see. Okay, it's related. It's really, yeah, about the nose rings, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, I couldn't agree more, but then again, we all have our weaknesses. Speaking of weaknesses, I'm gonna start off with the eyes today. because it's pretty much the shittiest part of the whole ordeal, and I want to get through that. Yeah, I guess there is. There is truth to what you're saying. Okay, so far so good, and now let's mess everything up with black. And I'm gonna talk a little bit about my talking points for today. Because for whatever reason, out of nothing, I just now have, well, 5 again, like last time, so... Strangely enough, hobby things are moving along fairly well. Haven't again heard from Richard for tomorrow's game, but we'll see. Did you have an RPG session this weekend? Over at the castle? Oh, that's cool. That'll be fun. Alright, alright. Is it still for tomorrow? So I just gotta ask him for the exact address. Alright, alright. Okay. I'll find it then. Cool, it'll be nice to see everyone. Well, you know, the core group Well, as expected, first try was a failure. Let's go again. As a matter of fact, he looks really cool without pupils, but as weird as I am making them out to be, making him a pupilless monster is not quite the point. So let's try something that I heard over at another stream, which is about making your black even blacker and maintaining good flow of the paint. So I'm actually going to mix the black paint with a little bit of Nuln oil and use that instead of water to thin it out. Let's see how that works. I don't think I've ever tried this before, so who knows how that'll work out. Because the biggest problem in painting eyes, aside from the obvious accuracy issues, is maintaining a damp drop of paint on a thin brush. Okay, that went a little bit better. Now let's go over that little spot again. Okay-ish. So you never said if you had the chance to GM this weekend? Well, I'm just gonna use the other black. Oh, 23rd. Okay, okay. I was left under the impression that it's yeah, exactly. I was left under the impression that it starts this weekend. Sorry. Oh, cool. 23rd is... Oh, this Sunday. Nice. I think I can actually make it. Awesome. Okay, let's go. Oh, no problem, dude. Even if it's just to stick around and just soak up the nerdiness, I'll be very, very okay with that. I just need my fix. He is now cross-eyed. Yay. And I think you see why. I would prefer to get this step out of the way first. It is just positively annoying as hell. And also, my problems with depth perception really come into play here. Okay. Now, since I did make him a little bit bug-eyed, which is part for the course, I'll try to close up his eyes a little bit. So that he doesn't look like he's having the fart of his life. Sorry for being quiet, but this is probably the only stage that I have to do with my while holding my breath. I wanted to go through this yesterday, but other things happened and they are part of my talking points, so we'll go over them in just a moment. Alright, well, about as good as it'll get, I guess. Give another try. Ruin everything you've done for. Okay. Take the please. Oh, do you think so? don't think so. I mean, even GW itself is sort of pushing halflings um, to make them more playable, as in not better, just more widely used, because they are sticking them in multiple teams. Then teabag.
Wait, what? Where did you see that?
Right? Okay.
Well, I mean, so far, it's in favor of the
halflings. Not so much the snotlings or at all.
What the hell am I doing? Nah, I doubt it. I doubt it.
I don't know about that. Again, it's like now that they can play for more teams, more people will experience them, and so they have twice the strength. True, but imagine how cathartic it'll be for halfling players to play against snotlings.
And they will be the bash version.
The bashier of the two teams. Come on, just imagine. Okay, whatever. Alright, now. So, remember when I was considering building the new Goliaths, the 4 new Goliaths on stream? So, I actually decided not to stream the building of the Goliaths because I actually did it already. So these are the second generation, second wave Goliaths. And this time I took care to not give them as derpy poses. I mean, this one is a little bit of a exception, but mostly they are looking in the right direction as per the weapon. So what I did, I made 2 that have two-handed weapon. So one with a ranged two-handed weapon. Yeah, I really like that one. He's actually almost the same build was on the picture of the Forge World weapon upgrade sprue, and I really loved how he looked, so I just needed to replicate him. And these are the other 2. So we got crazy spiky dude with a fucking insane axe, two-handed, and this dude with a weird chainsword and a gun. Yeah, almost a halberd, but with a shorter handle still. But I couldn't not put it on him. So these are done. Ready for painting. And I also, since I was already playing around with these dudes, I put together this dude, the Count as Mighty Zug, with the ball, which was pretty much the laziest thing I can do. Give him a little bit of a Blood Bowl look. And also I did want to raise his pose a little bit upward, just to give him a little bit of verticality in addition, so he would stand a little bit higher than the average player. So he is ready as well. So building wise, the next batch of dudes is ready for the doing. I also had made a trip to the Hobby Cult store for some hobby supplies. And I got some cool stuff, actually. I got a reverse action tweezers. So these things, which is the important thing is that instead of having to hold them to close them, you hold them to open them up, and they close on their own, meaning that making sticking very small details a lot easier. So this will come in handy. Magic. Yeah, I wanted tweezers like this for ages, and just never bothered to really look for them. So that'll be very cool to have. And I also got applicators for super glue, which are just these longer caps that go on the super glue tubes. So you get more accurate, more precise little droplets, and it doesn't completely go everywhere. And I used it during the build of the Goliaths, and it's really helpful. And they come at like 20 for $3 or something, $6. All good stuff. Still waiting on the varnish, on the super matte, ultra matte varnish. But that's what it is. Also, I found a very helpful painting channel, which on YouTube, which focuses on something that I am very much needing, which is speed painting. So it's a speed painting channel, but the dude is actually using very painty techniques instead of mechanical ones, so there is even more painting channels, yeah. But this one is different because I've been mostly focusing on high art, like display model painters and stuff like that. And this dude actually just sets up to get an army out and about and spends about half an hour. Yeah, exactly. So I'm looking to see which parts of that I can sort of steal and adopt into my style, so that into my techniques, in order to boost up a little bit efficiency. And there is a ton of stuff. Also, he does a hell of a lot of terrain, which is pretty cool. Like very easy, very quick, very accessible, and fairly good looking terrain. Sometimes out of scratch, sometimes he just paints stuff from box sets. And so again, he's very painty and not so much just base, wash, dry brush. He actually does paint very well, and it's very easy to just push a little bit forward and raise the standard a lot, which I really like about him. It's called Midwinter Minis, if you are interested. He also has some battle reports, which are kind of fun. And he pretty much paints a model in half an hour to an hour tops. Which compared to 40k 8th edition. 40k 8th edition, really nothing special, but like it's just, yeah, I mean, it's there. Yeah, it's there. And while watching him, I really got an idea about what exactly I can test the speed painting stuff on, and that will be the Gears of War minis from the board game. Because they have a lot of very repetitious models, like they have a bunch of 6 little tick things, and like small models that really don't need to have a lot of detail painted on them and stuff like that. And I think they would be perfect to try out some speed painting techniques. And of course, that will be in preparation for the Wolfenstein Kickstarter once it gets delivered. Yeah, they're really... I'm too lazy to go out and get them out. Yeah. Because the Wolfenstein Kickstarter really has a ton of models, and if I spend that amount of time for each model, I'm just gonna never finish them up. So some compromises will need to be made, and this channel is a very good source of information and tips on how to do this. So I'm very excited. Nazis on speed. Yeah, mecha Nazis on speed, to be precise. So I'm looking forward to getting to that point, but first I gotta knock out the Goliaths, and I might actually try some things on the Bretonians, but I'm not really sure about that. The allies never. Well, actually, the heroes in Wolfenstein are always allies. And it's set up as a dungeon crawler instead of the Polish guy, yeah, Blazkowicz. BJ Blazkowicz. Right, so let's actually do some painting. How about that? Enough of this small brush here. So this guy will just have basic flesh, like normal Caucasian skin tones, regular stuff. So we'll just build him up like this. Oh, and last thing on the list is that the Fraggin' Unicorns Kickstarter is now complete. It funded 500% of its initial goal, and there will be a ton of extra goodies to go along with it. However, almost all of them will be in the Pledge Manager, meaning as extra add-ons. And that might be a little bit of a money sink once it comes out, but we'll see how it is. Let's switch over the focus. Start painting some flesh. So this is going to be the mid-tone. I'm not gonna do the undertones this time. Instead, when I'm done with pretty much everything, I'm just gonna do a few glazes in the recesses and bring some more color into the mix. Hopefully that'll speed things up a little bit. I'm gonna try and go a little bit quicker with these layers, not worry that much about the transition, as I can always just glaze back any really obvious harsh transitions. And this time I will not end up with a wash over the flesh, because I actually am sick and tired of losing everything from the buildup of color that I've been doing to this. So you will see some harsh transitions for now, but we will cover those up later on. At least that's the idea. Just give me a moment, since my laundry is ready. I just gotta turn on the dryer. Just give me a moment. Back in a second. There we go. Sorry about that.
Yeah, indeed, indeed. Turbo Monkey. By the way, in Instagram, I found a painter whose handle is Painting Chimp. It's hilarious.
There's also gorilla with a brush. Like the monkey theme in miniature painting is weirdly developed. So I'm still trying to build it up smoothly, but if it doesn't happen, it's gonna be fixed later on. And the reason why I'm going slow here at this step is because this is actually me trying to figure out where the highlights should be. And it requires a little bit more processing power in the old noggin. But as we move on to the brighter highlights, the volumes would have already been set up and should help out like a little bit. I'm considering starting to use zenithal highlighting, but if I do use it, I will have to apply it with the rattle can with a primer instead of an airbrush, which isn't ideal. Could still work though, but I need to figure out how to make actual use of it instead of just having it there. I do, but the compressor burned out, so effectively, no. And all in all, I don't really see that much for what I'm doing right now for my current stuff that I'm painting. There really isn't that much use for an airbrush, or at the very least I'm not seeing it. Might be there, I'm just not seeing it. So I'm not really in a hurry. To get this tool as well. But rattle can zenithal lighting is okay, depending on what you use it for. So I'm not going to take advantage of the actual highlight, meaning I'm not going to paint with transparent colors and take advantage of the ready placed highlights like volumes during the zenithal. Instead, I'm going to use it for roughly sketching out the actual volumes with the base color and a little bit of highlight. Because I do like to have my base coats opaque instead of transparent. So we'll see how that works out. Problem is, this is going to change. This would change a lot of things if I were to start using it. Not necessarily for the better. Because right now I have a fairly solid grasp on like a process. Stained nice thick very dark base coats and build up sketch up highlights and blend them down later. If I start using zenithal highlighting to apply a similar approach, I would have to do that in two ways. Like I would have to do two things at once. Which might speed things up, but until I actually get a handle on it, it's going to be fairly annoying. It is also going to be a very good way to start off wet blending. As I try to match the volumes from the zenithal with the actual, let's say, 2 layers of paint. 2 colors, 2 tones of the same paint. But that could get things done a lot quicker if I put the time in to learn how to use it. But I'm still thinking about it. I'm not set on doing it because it's really not a speed painting tip per se. It's just something I've been thinking about for a while, and just in general how to make good use of a pre-highlight without when actually wanting to paint in opaque colors. I could try it out on some one-off models like Badger could be a good test. The good thing about it is that if it doesn't work, I can just easily revert back to the old approach. But I'm trying to improve, so sometimes I have to be a tryhard. This is looking like a fairly nice build-up, considering where we are going with it. And I can also take a look afterwards. When I'm done with the build-up, I can take a look at the overall feel of the color. If it's a warmish color, which it should be, I'll have to think of a colder tone for the it reinforce some of the shadows. And sort of assist contrast in that way. But I kind of don't want to resort to purple, although that is probably what we're gonna do. And I also will most definitely not be going through the whole striping of vertical striping. So it's horizontal striping going in a vertical sequence, and especially not for the face. I'm not gonna go through all of that. For a larger model, yeah, for sure, maybe. If it's a leader, if it's a display model, if it's something more. But for just these guys to go over separating the face into 3 layers, giving them yellow, red, and blue tints is a little bit overkill, I think. And even though this is technically the leader for the Goliaths, he is kind of temporary. Until I find a model that will look... Yeah, sure, but it's just gonna take a hell of a lot of time, and it won't really have much of an effect. I don't know. A part of me wants to try it, a part of me is like, I really want to get some stuff actually painted and ready and move along. Possibly start painting something else. But yeah, you're right, like trying these things out on models that it won't really show on, just to sort of get the feel for it, is a good approach. You can make mistakes and it wouldn't really matter. So on that, yeah, should be okay. It's been so long since I've painted human flesh. That's so weird. And also, I've never attempted it in this, with this approach, so... the Norse team for Blood Bowl, I approached in a completely different way for the flesh. And... seeing how this is working out, I'm a little bit pissed off that I had to do all of what I did with the Norse. This is exactly what I wanted to achieve with them. Quite easier too. Although granted, my feel for paint thickness and brush control was shittier, so at least it's a pleasant affirmation that slowly but surely, don't call me Shirley, I'm getting a little bit better. I'm a little bit more comfortable with the stuff. But that's cool. Okay, now for the face. I am a little bit afraid for the face. How bad can it get? Well, that's been... So to get back on the topic for the Fraggin' Unicorns Kickstarter, the Gangs of the Undercity skirmish game. Yesterday they had a 8-hour long stream to commemorate and well, not commemorate, the word I'm looking for. Celebrate is the word, yeah. Celebrate. The success of the Kickstarter and do a little bit of a push to unlock some extra stretch goals, and they actually did unlock quite a few things, and I'm really sad to say that most of the really cool miniatures are add-ons. Which means that the way I approached this, indeed, but I think they did that on purpose. Like they put a little bit derpier models in the base game, and left the rest for the pledge manager. Point of the matter being that, like, I expected this to be a quick and cheap Kickstarter to get some cool minis. Because of how actually cool the other ones are, I am definitely just gonna end up sinking a ton of money into this. It's just... every time. More bodies! Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. But definitely, some of their things are insane. They had some concept art for a what you would call in Shadowrun a cyber zombie, if you remember. So really heavy cyborgs. And he looked amazing. And naturally, they're going to have discounts based on the amount of stuff you get, which is another incentive to get even more stuff, even if you don't necessarily need it. So I can already feel how I'm gonna sink a ton of cash into this. On the plus side, all of the models from this Kickstarter are one-offs, meaning that they are unique sculpts. And I can sort of treat them as palette cleansers in between projects. Get more stuff, send more money. Yup, that is the general tactic. And just having some cool models to try stuff out on, and not really worry about unit coherency. Like with these guys, I wouldn't have to search for a unifying color or anything. It's just literally take the model. What does it tell you? Like, what does it want to be painted like, and just do it. Which might be very cool in between projects to just relax a little bit, and in between larger units and armies and teams and stuff. Okay, I think we're about good. And now that I'm waiting for the Dark Future Creations Kickstarter to be launched, so I can get my real Goliath leader. I can tell it's gonna be a mess. By the way, I did show the Dark Future Creation stuff to the Pigeon Squirter. You know, one of the streamers that I often refer to here. And he was also fairly impressed with their current concept stuff and prints. Yeah, no, the weird hair guy is Brush for Hire, who is now even weirder. Like, he's got a full-on red mohawk, which looks awesome. But yeah, it's even weirder now, as in even going further than he did before. And it suits him. Now, Pigeon Squirter is a guy that I really want to start raiding more often, but he is very rarely streaming. And he paints these really cool cyberpunk busts. I think I've rated him with you, but it's probably been a hell of a while. He's usually drunk when he paints. Like, he's actually a really cool guy. I like him a lot. I've certainly mentioned him. Like, I'm not sure if I've actually managed to raid him often enough, but yeah. Alright, so moving on a little bit to Cadian Fleshstone. However, before that, I'm gonna take a cheeky little break to have a smoke. Because this is going pretty well, and I wanna just enjoy the ride for the moment. So let's switch out the focus so you don't get cross-eyed, and just do it. Either way, point of the matter is that as a cyberpunk connoisseur that he is, he was also fairly impressed with with what they have, the little that they have in their on their Instagram page. And I would like to see, I would really love to see him paint some of those guys, or well, girls, because he only paints girls, but you know. Also, Mark UK, who does pop in here occasionally, is starting to paint. Yeah. The Raging Heroes Battle Nuns. So they're not exactly the alternatives to the Sisters of Battle. They are the ones that look a little bit like a cross between Battle Nuns and the Cinco de Mayo stuff. And it'll be interesting to see him paint something in a smaller scale, because he usually paints larger models like busts. Pretty much from the same manufacturer as the Pigeon Squirter, so mostly Neko Galaxy and Robot Rocket. So it'll be an interesting change of pace for him, and I also want to see how he will tackle those models. I need to get printouts for the match reports for tomorrow. Something I should make a mental note of, because I don't have a printer here, and should hop over to the closest Xerox office. Just pretty close by, I just need to not forget. And I also need to give a little thought into what to do with about 200k in inducements. Oh, that's nice, but still, I do wanna, because I'm gonna be staying home office for a while, as it is, and I kind of want to see the options. Oh yeah, no star players. Damn. Well, 200k, 100 is easy. Well, probably just a reroll and a couple babes. Maybe a Horatio. I don't know. The sort of wizard, but I don't know how useful he is. Still, I need to put some. Although the what was the wizard that can turn players into imps? Second league, you mean a second season with the same dudes? Chaos Wizard, okay. Second season, yeah. Well, maybe somehow it will carry over. There might be a way to reconfigure them to match the new stuff, because I don't think that they will skip trials in the new edition. They might be turned into teams of legend, at least for the start.
I mean,
They don't lose stats, technically, so you could just directly transfer the upgrades and busts to stats. The only thing is the passing ability, really. And as long as they have any datasheet to that, I think it should be fine. Oh, you think they'll have new starting skills? Yeah, you're right. I didn't think that through. Yeah. Different leveling. Yeah, but the leveling itself, I think you can just use what you already have. Like, just accept that this is how it came about to be. So the leveling itself, I don't think is too bothersome. It's not gonna be ideal by any stretch, but if I can make a good honest transition here. Yeah, it will be, however, an interesting thing to try, I think, to see if you can easily convert it. I heard talk that maybe December will be the release date of the new edition. I was expecting it for more of a November release to emulate the 2016 edition. But we'll see. Again, nothing has really been confirmed yet. So just sitting and waiting. And painting some Goliaths to be ready in case everything goes to hell and we need to switch. main game. But I doubt it. I doubt it will come to that. Thirsted? What? Sorry, I couldn't get that. Yeah. You're right. Also, it is pretty much the only actual game. Many hopes and dreams, yeah. That GW makes right now. Because everything else seems a little bit too random. Like, this game actually has the basis to put some thought into it. Rolling ones excluded, of course, but I really like it because of that. Even though I'm not good at it, it's still... You can see the potential, and you always feel like you're actually playing a game and not just randomly throwing dice around. Which I can't say for most of the other games. I might be mistaken, but it just seems that way to me. And I think that the key to that is the movement. Like, the game is actually a lot more dynamic in terms of movement and placement that isn't dice reliant. But, I mean, we already know that already. Because the closest thing to that is Dreadball, and Dreadball is nowhere near this refined. Did you see that they discontinued Guild Ball? The sort of football equivalent. And I say equivalent with a lot of a margin, because it really wasn't anything like Blood Bowl. Oh, it was posted in the Blood Bowl group for whatever reason, some sort of a comparison or something. Either way, it's fairly inconsequential. Like, that was a kickstarted game. It had very few concurrent players, and pretty much the only thing that was really good about it was the models. Even though they really didn't give off a sporty feel, like they didn't feel like football players, if that makes sense. They were cool fantasy models, but definitely not for a pseudo sport game. And that's pretty much the only reason why I even know about this game. Some of the models look neat. Here's me wondering, what would be the best way to glaze down the transitions for this guy? Should I use the shadow color for the base tone? Or should I go for the other? For another color altogether, like a purple. Right now, I'm still getting these rough flesh transitions, like it is looking pretty rough, like the deepest recesses are way too dark. But if I brighten them up, I will lose contrast. So how the hell do I deal with this? And I moan pretty much exactly like the guy singing right now, so I'll probably shut up about it and just do something. Oh, that's actually Clayton again. Good old Clayton. So far, fairly happy with the result. Still haven't managed to screw it up. Alrighty, thanks for dropping by and have a lovely rest of your evening with whatever activities you decide to fill it with. And see you tomorrow, actually. Yep. Okay. Again, so far. So far, so not bad. If I do say so myself. Toot my old horn. I think a couple more players should do it. Maybe even one or two, yeah, a couple. I don't want to make it go overboard, too bright or too saturated. Let's see what's next. I'll keep the Bugman. We're going into Kislev Flash territory. So, smoke. Maybe if I desaturate a purple with some black. And do some of the recesses. I don't know. This is usually the part where I get completely stuck into deciding what the hell to do. Okay, I will build up the flash bit. How do I bring it down? What do I use to glaze down? And how far do I glaze down? Flash and skin, they're pretty particular, very specific things in the process of painting. Whereas I can do very comfortably other types of surfaces. Skin works in a different way, so it needs to be treated differently, and maybe a dark red, you know, maybe a dark red will help. But then it will mash with the armor plates. But a purple will be very strong offset to the flesh tone. Maybe if I really gently glaze it down with it. Possibly. I don't know. Whatever happens, we're finishing this flesh today. I'm gonna be done, no matter the cost. Alright, so Kislev flesh. Just gonna mix it into the Medium Flesh and Bugman Glow. Got it going too much. Right. Hopefully. Let's go for the penultimate highlights. Very bright. Super bright. Yeah, it works. Okay. So something I found out, very basic. I really didn't know about it. Well, I knew about it, I just never realized it. Just work very lightly whenever in doubt. Barely touch the surface. what I'm doing right now isn't technically glazing. It's more either a thick glaze or a light layering, which, well, technically is the same thing, but still. I do have quite a bit of paint. I brush and it's really not tinting. It is leaving the potential for opacity with fewer layers. And I am doing this to sort of speed up the process a little bit, and I forgot to switch the focus again. I think I'm just gonna leave it like this. I don't care. Still, direction of the brushstroke does matter in these cases. I'm gonna use this just for the knuckles. Have highlights on them. Just the tip of this thumb here. Trigger finger. Let me know if you're having trouble seeing what I'm doing, as in the focus is bad, or I'm not in frame, or any problems really. I am trying to work toward a better quality stream. The amount of times I forgot to switch the focus from automatic to manual. Probably wouldn't have guessed that, but I do try. Honest. Okay, well that goes done, and just a little bit of your kid's life. Very, 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 very top. Only the shoulders, maybe. traps. Barely registering, which is nice. Flesh, we don't want any rough dark transitions here. I can maintain that. Just page. Okay, and now for the face. I'm going to paint these little horn things last. I don't have to bother with them right now. In a little bit. Eyebrows. Oops. Eyebrows. Nose. And the cheek. Bone. Right. I think that'll do it for the flash. Now to think about what to do about glazing that shit. Maybe be a pretty Tate Bugman's glow. And mix in a little bit of Nagaroth Night. Trying to get a color that would good. Or just go over with your Bugman up. Likes it. If it likes it. Thoughts.
So have some ideas about metallics from now on, how to treat them. Skipping through realism, because let's face it, that shit's not really gonna be realistic. Go on then. I am very glad I did put together the next wave of Goliaths, and I will be making some adjustments and changes to how I paint them. So I will be skipping a couple of colors for the red, and I won't be washing the flesh, and probably not the textures as well. I'm gonna try and maybe glaze them with something. Because it really is just killing all of the transitions and all of the color buildup that I work for. And granted, you can water it down, but still it makes everything very dirty. And I just don't want, I just want to dim it down a little bit, not muddy it up. I'll still wash the hell out of the bases though. That's a given. The dryer is giving me some messages. See what it is. Use the opportunity to take a little bit of a break, so I'll be right back. And I am back. Did you miss me? Right, let's see if this experiment works out. I doubt it, but still. Worth the experiment. A very strong color, so I think a little bit. Ooh. Not bad. For this then. We can do something interesting. I think we have a winner here. Holy shit, I would never have expected it. Little bit. A little purple in this mix. Might actually end up being what I've been trying to do for so long. Oh my god. Well, how about that? It'll take a while actually make it work, but it's there. And because it's a little bit brighter than the black and flash, it is actually toning down the transitions without darkening things too much. Pretty damn cool. Definitely not. It is my first try for this. Does smooth things out, does leave the darkness as well. Pretty cool. Haha. So my whole problem with the other tries was that I was going for counter color in its true form, like pure form, without actually mixing in the flesh. Which is why I was getting these very harsh color shifts. I didn't necessarily want. And an added cool factor is that this looks very much like the Fleshtown adjacent built that one time. Being able to do anything remotely close, but he's one hell of a win for me. A bit too dark in some areas, but we'll take a second look overall. Let's do a full pass once. what needs more of it. They're on the thick side. Probably barely, if at all, recognizable. Especially with the focus not set. Fucking dumbass. But trust me, it's there. It's pretty cool. I'm so happy. I am so happy right now. Yo, Dr. Tentacle, what's up? I think I just cracked the code for Flash. Finally. Sadly, I don't think you can see it on camera. But I finally found a good way to integrate purple into normal Flash. Well, what I was doing up until now was just giving the entirety of the Flash a wash, which was destroying all of the color buildup. Now I just kept the colors a little bit more muted as I went along, and instead of going with rough undercoats for purple, I'm just mixing a little bit of purple into the mid-tone of the Flash color, and I'm glazing, like thick glazing, not even too thin. And it sort of blends the transitions, and because it's a brighter color than it's brighter than the deepest shadow that I've built up, it does sort of bring it up a little bit so that you don't get these stark flesh transitions, which I desperately try to avoid. So it's been sort of a paradox that you want to build up contrast, but for Flash, you can't really afford to have these super dark lines that separate stuff, like musculature or something like that. So I am super happy right now. Of course, it's not too late to screw it all up, man. Anyway, how are you? What have you been up to? It doesn't show well on the camera, of course, because it's a subtle transition, but I hope that the pictures will show it. Oh, that's nice. Nice to hear. Also, I won't be building the rest of the Goliaths on stream. Because yesterday evening I sort of sat down to just look at the bits and get some inspiration on what I want to do with them, and I just ended up building them. I primed them and they are all ready. This time I took into account the actual posing of the models, so they won't have the derpy poses that I did for the first run of them. Yeah, let me show you what I came up with. for the second generation, second wave of dudes. Just 4 this time. 6. So I got this guy with the flamer. And a nice axe. I've been using the Forge Worlds upgrade sprue for weapons and additional head options to make some more unique looking models. This one is probably my favorite, the one with the heavy stubber. It'll be very cool to go through. This axe is actually from the basic kit, but it was just too good not to put on a model. He's going for a heavily spiky theme. It's just awesome. I don't know. And then we got this weird power chainsword and bolt pistol dude. I was favoring heads that have natural hair mohawks because I really love giving them weird colors and playing with transitions through bright neon-y colors, and they also make the dudes pop out a lot, so having some more glorious mohawks like these really was a good thing. And because I was at it, I converted slightly this dude from Infamy models to proxy as a star player for Blood Bowl with a basic as they come conversion, as I just put a football at the base. Because I wanted to lift him up a little bit in order to make him a little bit higher so that he would register among his peers as being a little bit more imposing and making it clearer that he's a star player. He doesn't fit at all in the Blood Bowl universe because this is steampunk and Blood Bowl is fantasy, but these jacks from Mortal Kombat like steampunk arm gauntlets were just too appealing to me to miss out on. So this is the next batch of stuff that we'll need to get some paint on. So I'm pretty stoked about that. Wait. Let's finish up with the flesh. And see if we'll get time to put some other stuff. Have you had any time to paint lately? You usually stream a little bit late, too late for me to really come along. Oh yeah, I saw the picture of that. The Sam Lens inspired stuff. Okay. What which game stole you away from miniatures? Sucked into? Wow. The new classic one or retail? Okay. Absolutely understandable. There was this huge hit when they re-released the classic WoW. Oh, Milliput is really fun to use. Like, it's messy as all hell, but it's really, really fun to use. For me, it's a lot easier than green stuff. It's a lot easier to get it to do what you want it to do. But you do get a mess all up, like up to your fucking elbows. Yeah, privateer press stuff really doesn't come together too well. Which is a shame because I really, really love some of their design ideas and models. Uh, but even with the second type of, well, technically third edition, the colored plastics were horrible for the starters for Mark III War Machine. Found a new interesting channel for speed painting that doesn't really do just washes and dry brush, and is very easy to build up into a like high quality tabletop standard pieces. So if you have multiple models that are fairly similar and you want to get a decent base for them quickly, they're really fun. Yeah. And again, Milliput is something it cures hard, so you can file it down afterwards. During its wet stage, you can easily chisel and sculpt it. And if you really have nothing else to do, you can spend a little time and mush a lot of water into a bowl of Milliput and create a slushy that you can use sort of like Vallejo gap filler or liquid green stuff if they still sell that thing. But it's a lot of squishing, like a lot. Yeah, I'm gonna stop before I end up overdoing it. I do have the tendency to do that. In fact, maybe I did go a bit overboard already. Eh. Maybe I'll need to bring up the flash a little bit, but I think it's fine for what it is. Which model from Hordes did you get? Is it Trollblood? They're real fun. Goliath. Is that a hero character? I don't know. Alright. Well, I got purple out. As well build up the colors. I see. Okay, okay. Yeah, and it's probably this part on the back of the other wing, am I right? At the base, right below the shoulder. Yeah, you can tell even from the well-built kit, you can tell that there is this huge seam that would be very difficult to align when building. Yeah. And I also see why you got it. Like, you can play around a lot with the feathers for color transitions, and yeah, you can do a lot with him. He's got fur, he's got feathers, he's got hard surfaces, he's got flesh. Yeah, that's an awesome test. Yeah, it's excellent for that. It's also pretty cool. Like, this beak is pretty nice. The fur here looks a bit goofy, but that's me. Yeah, definitely a lot of stuff to play around with. Oh, the what was it? The color shapers? I really need to get some of those. I'm currently sculpting with broken forks, so not ideal. But I'm trying to find them in local stores. The price to no one. Clay shapers, right? They're really not available here for whatever reason. Yeah. Probably somewhere in a very obscure small store, but I'll just end up ordering them. I really don't have a lot of sculpting to do yet. Possibly when I start converting the orc team, I'll need something, but I'll probably be going for a more... I will make them into cyborgs. So most of the gap filling will be for rigid holes, like hard angles and stuff. It does seem like a common tool, but I guess sculpting of this scale isn't common around here. I don't know, I should make another run. Because I live near sort of an art, not really a district, more of a street that just has a concentration of art supply stores and things like that that might have stuff like this. But to give you an example, I wasn't able to find, so I went through probably 4 or 5 stores, hobby dedicated, and I couldn't find a single cutting mat. Give you an idea of what I'm talking about. A cutting mat. Like those, the green ones that self-regenerate, you know. I couldn't believe it. They all knew what I was talking about, they just didn't have it in stock. Baffling. it's just weird. It's more of an inconvenience because you have to you end up just having to order everything online. Bulgaria. The reason they are not available is just that they're not particularly sought after items. And since most stores are fairly small, they really don't bother restocking items that aren't going like hot bread. So you end up just waiting and paying for shipment and stuff like that, which is just a little bit of an inconvenience. It's not the end of the world by any stretch. But it does kind of kill the pleasure of just going to a store, be it a hobby store or a hobby arts and crafts store, and just perusing, browsing, looking for cool little things that you didn't think existed and didn't consider needed. For instance, I finally got my hands on reverse action tweezers. Like these that close when you release instead of the other way around. And this is going to be a lifesaver for assembling small things. Yeah, I've been wanting a pair of these forever, and I just kept forgetting, and I just went to the scale modelers store. Yeah, exactly, and that's just clamp, and you got it. Been seeing these for ages and never got around to getting it. So I'm very happy. Also, if you're using super glue, let me show you something else. So these are small applicators that you put on top of a super glue tube. It's from Green Stuff World. It's really cheap. It's like $3 or something for 20. And what you do is just put it on the super glue tube, and you get a million times more control and accuracy when applying the glue. And you don't end up spilling shit everywhere, and it really helps. Of course, they are a little bit wider than the common super glue tube, but with a little bit of blue tack you can sort of insulate it and hold it in place. And because the hole is so small, the glue inside doesn't dry up either. So this is a must-have for me, because I've never been able to accurately gauge how much glue I'm putting on stuff before it's too late, naturally. And yeah, these are great. And again, just went to peruse Scale Modelers store. They have so many weird things. Just not the ones you need. I'm just gonna build up the little neon tubes, because it's something quick to do in between larger bits that require more attention. This is just layering some color. Did I show you the Dark Future Creations Insta? The guys that will make... No, oh, just give me a moment. I think I did, but my brain must be playing tricks on me. Well, either way, it's a good opportunity to just look at these at the models again. So they're fairly new, and will have a Kickstarter at some point. Cool thing is that their models, you will be able to choose the scale in which you want to have them cast. Meaning if you don't need it for a game, but like the sculpt and you want to make it for a display or just trying stuff out. So they really don't have the bare bones for now, but like you can see the logo alone wins me over. So this is their concept art for the dudes and dudettes. They're gonna have multiple build options. This is one of their resin casts, and this is going to be what I end up getting for my actual Goliath leader. Probably, most likely. And this is also something that looks just fucking gorgeous. Again, with multiple poses and stuff. And yeah, will be available on Kickstarter in 28, 54, and 75 mil. So whatever you need, whatever you like, you can get it. So I can get one of these in 75 to play around painting, and I can get this guy in 28 and play with him on a Necromunda game. So far, mostly just concept art, so I'm curious to see what they will end up coming up with. But it's still cool. Pigeon Squirter really enjoyed it, so I showed it to him as well, and he was very stoked about the biker chick, naturally. So here's hoping that it comes out well. Again, very incipient stages, but still you can see a lot of potential. Alright, so I'm gonna hit that with a magenta. And that will be that for these tubes. Probably for the stream as well. But first, let's shut this move. So recalibrate the focus. I am also 100% sure that when I pick up the model to paint, I will forget to reset the focus again. Okay. Yeah, exactly. Couldn't wait to entice him with it. Really happy with how the flash came out on this. Well, why? I mean, from the pictures that you showed, it was like a pharmacy, like it's very well organized. Like, what are you thinking to get? All right, yeah, I think I remember what you mean. Ooh, you are more than likely to lose stuff if you organize them in drawers. You're bound to forget how you organize things, and because they're not transparent, you can't see through them. You'll probably forget all about their content. Labels, yeah, probably. Yeah, since this is my everything station, so for gaming and working and painting and possibly having guests at some point, um, can't really do a stationary station, so everything is pretty much modular to take around and just have a big dumping ground in one of the corners. Which I really need to clean out, by the way. There is so much garbage I'll never use. Or will I? Because again, this speed painting guy, he does a lot of terrain stuff, and that got me a little inspired to try and build some terrain at some point, so all the trash and all the garbage stays. I'm becoming one hell of a hoarder, and it's annoying me. Interesting looking cans, straight pieces of cardboard. Tons of bullshit. No need. No need. It comes naturally. Like, don't put it as a separate task. It just happens. Like my paint holder, this is actually a piece of my old airbrush, because it was the old siphon fed one, and it's really comfy to keep the brushes you're currently using. I use cut open cans of energy drinks for tools and stuff. Like, it just happens, really. Accrues over time. Any boxes that you get in a decent condition from shipping models and stuff are also very useful. Sprues, of course, never throw sprues away. And it just piles up before you know it. And then you forget about it. And then you wonder why you don't have any storage room. Yeah. My basing material stuff has been collecting over 7 years. Do you know how many pieces of terrain I've ever built? Take a wild guess. Zero. Exactly. Ridiculous. And there's enough material to fill out a full 40k table. But you know, you're always telling yourself, maybe next project, maybe when I start getting into the game, maybe soon, maybe never, but this looks so good. Ridiculous. But now that I'm getting into Necromunda, maybe. Because that's a very terrain-reliant game. There isn't that much actual game in it. It's mostly just trying to make it as cinematic as possible, so it's heavily reliant on the terrain that you build and use. There's a lot of verticality to it. That might finally trigger my creative inspiration to do some stuff with it. Probably not, but if anything's gonna do it, that's gonna do it. Oh, or possibly the Gangs of the Undercity? The Frag and Unicorn stuff. They had a celebratory 8-hour stream yesterday for the last hours of the Kickstarter. And that got me kinda hyped up. Problem being that almost all of the cool goodies will be in the Pledge Manager as separate add-ons, so I'm gonna end up spending a lot more money than I initially intended to, but again, I've said this before, whenever I see something cool, it's just wrong. Yeah, I told you I'd forget the focus. God damn. What can I do real quick? Maybe the little respirator thingies, the canisters. Yeah, let's give them a quick do-over. Green. I don't really know what I'm doing with them, but do some basic stuff, and they're so small anyway. Just give them a little bit of depth here and there, and drop a wash maybe. Because I don't want this green to be overwhelming at any point. A little bit of something. A little bit of splash of color. That is, if I can take my brush. Because why think about how you're gonna paint the thing while you're building it when you can just suffer later? Works every time. And a drop of Agrex. Bring them down. What brushes are you using right now? Because I've been really happy with the bomb wicks. With the artillery ones, the synthetics. Give them a wash once a week and they're very stable. Oh, okay. Yeah. Right. No, they weren't green grass. Anyway, I get it. I remember what he uses it. Right. I saw a way where you can make a liner brush with, if you need a liner, an interesting thing I saw, it was actually in the tutorial for the metallics that we watched, that you can use a razor, yeah, to sort of clip. And get them to a decent use. Will we spill the Rex? Okay. But I've seen really good long, very thin brushes in arts and crafts stores. Again, of the cheap variety, so not a problem with that. So you can look, because for a liner you need length of the bristle. I should get myself some. I've been looking for usable cheap brushes here as well, but the ones that are cheap are really garbage. Like they cannot form a fine point at all. So I'll probably stick to these for as long as I can. But I've definitely found out that synthetic brushes in general work better for me. Because they help me train the pressure that I apply on the model. Because they are a little less forgiving for pressure. Whereas sable brushes kind of cover up for you sometimes. Because they're softer. It's actively training me to apply as much as I need at any given moment. Oh, okay. No, I don't think it's an issue. It's just a matter of preference. All of these things, like brushes and tools, you can do technically everything with almost anything. The key here is to find whatever it is that works best for you. So try stuff. For aligning what you're describing to me, the best thing for you would be a micro pen or gunpla. Micron, they have these special microns that you can do panel lining with them, you can do even eyeballs with them. So maybe look into those. Give them a try. I've personally tried with toothpicks and all sorts of bullshit. But at the end of the day, I don't like switching out too many tools while I do stuff, so I really hated it having to switch out brushes for metallics, for true metallic paints and regular paints. So going all synthetic actually really helped me out. But these little bits and pieces that you kind of just either get used to or find that are very applicable to your, not style, then just personal preference of commodity, I guess. Getting some light re-highlights. Well, mine burned out completely, so I don't know. By the way, an airbrush is also a tool that I never got real comfortable with using. Not just in terms of comfort, but in terms of effectiveness and efficiency. Um, Even if you were to say that to use it just for zenithal highlighting, the way that I'm trying to paint with more opacity in the base layers really don't require a smooth zenithal, just something to guide me if I ever got to it, and probably work on wet blending to cover up with an opaque layer. So really don't know. Yeah, if you don't have anywhere to prime, like a terrace or a separate room that's ventilated or anything, then yeah, absolutely. But I just do it in the kitchen, leave the window open, and it's a lot quicker with a rattle can. Like for 5 to 10 minutes, I can prime like 10 models, whereas with the airbrush, it's 5 times that long. Of course, it may be that I wasn't used to it or anything, but. And then you have all the cleanup, the maintenance. It just didn't work out for me. Maybe a lot of people said that, and then after a few years came back to it, gave it another more thorough look, and said that it's better. So maybe I'm just not there yet to realize its actual potential, but we'll see. It's too early to say. So, are your issues with the airbrush itself or the compressor? Ah, the airbrush. Okay, that's actually. Yeah, the airbrush is the lesser of two evils, because the compressor is really, it's almost impossible to repair because of how capsulated it is, and you technically just need to throw it out. Whereas an airbrush, you can play around to give it some maintenance, and even getting a new one, cheap or expensive, is still a lot less than an actual compressor, especially if you got one with an extra tank and pressure gauge and moisture trap and all these gizmos, which unfortunately are kind of required if you want to use it for anything other than spraying primer. I really don't like this song. So as a basic summary of the few things I actually managed to get done together today. Got the face done, although I'm not really happy with the face itself. The eyes came out a little buggy. And went through the flesh.
Also the little tubes and the grenades, just so that I don't have to think about them at a later point. The usual pace for a stream's worth of painting. Next up will be pants, boots, and the leather straps. Then the red plates. And then just the metallics, and we're done. Considering I might get an off-stream day of painting this week, maybe even 2. Should be done fairly quick. For my output, that is. I'm gonna start skipping some of the paints in the transitions and try to play with the paints themselves rather than try to go for triads and pre-prepared colors. So far, this sort of heavy glazing has been working out pretty well in terms of efficiency to result. It doesn't get the creamiest blends done, but it's still faster than just glazing, and it's a lot more accurate than rough. It's still a lot cleaner than rough layering or feathering. So I'll probably stick to that. Until I get to the Gears of War mini box, I try out some speed painting tips and tricks. Get stuff done because I gotta prepare for the Wolfenstein Kickstarter, because that'll be a ton of miniatures and I can't possibly spend that much time on them. New guys will get some batch painting love for the base colors and shadow colors. Pretty much on track with stuff. I could push myself a little bit more and get more stuff done, but we'll see. But anyway, for the time being, and for this evening in particular, I think that I'm going to call it quits. Thanks again for dropping along, and a very pleasant rest of your day. Until we meet again, keep doing what you love and loving what you do. I've been Bachacolio, signing out. Bye-bye. Thank you.